Welcome everybody to the Helpful Village release webinar of January 17th. Wish a happy new year to everybody. It's gonna be fun, 2024. Usual agenda, news, release notes, and that's mostly it because there's not much of a discussion for today. But first we do a couple of reminders. Today's January 17th. There is another release webinar on the third Wednesday of the month of February, and that is February 21st. That will be our next release webinar. And then there is a webinar next week on Wednesday. Is the usual webinar we do about Q&A, questions and answers, where basically you ask any question you have, and the Helpful Village team is trying to give you the solutions we can think of. There's a couple of resources on this slide that are important. There is a Helpful Village training docs guide, which is a table of contents of all our documentation. There is the Helpful Village Help Center, which is support.helpfulvillage.com, that contains all of our documentation. And then there is a conversational website at helpfulvillage.slack.com, where villages can talk to each other and to us, basically, when you have a problem that probably another village has had before. And there is one more website, which is ask.helpfulvillage.com. That's what you use when you have improvement ideas you want to submit to our team. For next week's webinar Q&A, we ask you if it's possible to send your questions ahead of time to our national coordinator, Gary Frankel. That is very helpful to coordinate those questions with us, to put them in the right order, so that we can also think about good answers to those questions. So if you have you can ask questions live during the session, but you can set the questions ahead of time to this email address, hvusers@v2vnetwork.org. Well, basically, we can get you in the right order for those questions, and Gary is doing that. So yeah, that's an important email address. It's also a reminder. This is how the support, the help center looks like. You go to support.helpfulvillage.com. You have all our documentation. It's an interactive database. You can search a question, and then so frequently asked questions, probably the answer is in there. You can also submit your tickets, clicking on submit a request on the top right corner of your screen. Okay, and with this, we move on to the release notes. The changes that are going to be discussed today are not available on your browser, on your servers yet. It's normal because the way we do things is that we make these announcements today, and then they are released to the server over the weekend, so that you have time to prepare or ask questions and stuff like that in the next few days. So this is what is coming this weekend. This one is not it. Sorry. First one is, and this is for everybody. We have changed the menu accessibility on the website. So it seems like not a lot, but it's actually super important. What it means is that if you go, so this is the menu for all our villages on the web. And what we changed is the spacing between the top menu here, you see where it says volunteers, and the bottom sub-menu that has service request, service evaluation, check-ins. So in the original version that you have today on your website, there is more space between volunteers and service requests. So basically you can go from here to here, but you need to go quick, because if you don't go quick, the menu under this disappears because you are hovering on an area where there is no menu. So we just brought this box here. We brought it closer to the top, and this is helpful because now if you open this menu and you scroll slowly, the menu doesn't close, so it's good for you. We actually were working on this with a person also that has a visual impairment and magnifies the website. So basically looks at it closer, kind of, has a tool that brings it closer. And then from here, from the top menu to the sub menu, he couldn't see because it was too far away. So just bringing this box closer is the kind of stuff that makes me excited, because it just makes it easier for people that were, that had this menu disappear because they were slowly hovering to the next sub option. So I'll show a demo of this afterwards. This is also a quick change that is easy to understand. You know that this is what is called pagination on the internet. It's essentially the fact that we have a set of records and then we have different pages instead of having all records thrown at you. This pagination is something that you can already find in different places on Helpful Village, like service requests or members of a group and stuff like that. We just added to the blog topics. So it's this common feature, but we added in a new place. Okay, this one is funny. So I'll try to slow down on this one.
Oh,
Basically, when you do event registrations, right? You go to an event and you sign up for an event. There is an option that is given to villages if you want to ask a transportation question. And you can activate or deactivate this question per event. Some villages don't ask the transportation question, and then just people sign up for an event or register for an event and then just go. Some other villages choose this option where they're asking for the transportation question. Transportation question gives the option for the person registering to say a couple of things. That this person needs a ride, that this person has basically, I mean, he's coming and they have their own transportation, and that the fact that they can also take other people with them. So that existed before, the possibility to say that. But what is new here is that we connected this with the service requests module. So if you have a person that is signing up, registering for an event, and they need a ride, we now automatically create a service request for that ride, right? If you have a person that is coming to the, let's say, the Clayton Valley party on Friday, they say they need a ride. The system, when they register on the website, we will create a service request for the transportation of this person. Before, what happened is that basically the village administrators needed to check the email when there was a registration for an event. Oh, this person needs a ride. I need to go in and manually create a service request. Now this is done automatically. So basically we make a few assumptions. So basically, and those assumptions are written down there. So one of the assumptions is just the duration of the ride. Kind of the system is not smart enough to know how long that ride is. But I think we are just basically making an assumption that it's at 1 hour before the start of the event. And another assumption, which is like some villages have several transportation service types, or we're going to use, the system needs to choose one. It's not smart enough to choose, the appropriate one. So for now, we're using the first transportation type that we find. When the service request is created, right, for transportation, there are different statuses. So it is created with a status that is requested and not open, right? And so quick reminder, open as a status is a service request that is open to volunteers to see and to volunteer to pick it up. Requested, not all villages use the requested feed, but it's basically one of the flows when it's basically the step is when a member create, or the system in this case, creates a service request that is not visible to your volunteers yet because needs validation from the village administrators. It's kind of a step before. It's a status where basically the staff at the office needs to see it. So what happens here is that someone registers for an event and they need a ride to go to that event. The service request will be created for you automatically with a status requested, which means that it is not visible to your volunteers yet. It is ready for your staff to review it, maybe adjust it a tiny bit, right? And then just change the status into open. If we have questions, we can see the questions at the end of the meeting, I guess. This is another change that we did that is connected with the previous test, with the previous change. So this is the screen of the list of service requests that you are probably familiar with, right? So you go to this list of service requests, you see different things that different members have been asking for. That didn't change, and you have it sorted by dates, times, and you can have these filters by status, by member, by service type, and stuff like that. Now, what we added is what's inside this red box here, which is saying whatever basically filter you use here at the top with the status, we will always display that there are some requested service requests if this is not empty. See what I'm saying? Because basically this means that there are some service requests that need attention from the staff. And I'm talking obviously for the admins only. So the admins will see, oh, there is something I need, a member that put in a request that I need to validate, or the system created a service request that I need to validate. And then as long as this is the case, it will be visible always here in red. So just telling the staff that there is something here they need to do. If they want to see them, The service requests that are requested is very easy. You just need to go to, sorry, phone call. Let me stop my phone. If you want to see them, is you do the same thing you were doing before, which is you can go to status here, change the filter. The filter by default is set to open, but there is a filter option that is set to requested. So if you choose requested, you actually see the details of the requested service request. You can edit them, change the status, and put them to open. I can show a demo of this later too. Okay, so this is also little changes we made to the member profile and to the member directory. And I'm going to read them for you, basically. So the member profile, first, what it is. What it is something that you already have on your servers. Is any person that logs into Helpful Village, if you go to the top right corner, you can see my profile. And people can see their profile, basically, and see information. They can update their bio and these other things that they can update there. And now we're showing more information on this member profile. Typically, when a person, if you have a member directory that is activated and you have different members that are looking for each other, what is the information they can see about each other? Well, you can see the bio, you can see these other things. And now we have made it possible so that people can see other characteristics of this member in their member profile for yourself or for someone else. And this is these few things. So basically now members can see the birth date is shown on the profile. So the month and the day, but not the year, because basically you can have another member that is looking at the member directory. If they look at your profile, they can see, well, basically it's your birthday, but not your year. You can see the pronouns, if your village is using them. So these fields existed already, the pronouns, the preferred name, etc. And these fields are under, when you search a person on the general tab, they're a little bit hidden because there is a small link that's called more. And when you click on more, you can add more fields and more information, including ethnicity, race, pronouns, preferred name is already visible. So the fields are in the same place they were before, but now what is new is that we are now showing them in the member profile. We have information for those fields. And then on 3 in this list, we have new search capabilities on the member directory. So typically you can now go in and search by zip code in the member directory. So if you want to see people that are in your, basically, I guess, your zip code or your neighborhood, you can just type the zip code on the search box. And the other change is that you can now search also by preferred name, as well as first name and last name. So when you go to the member directory, what we had before is, for example, if you're searching for, let's say, Jim Ludden, right? So probably in the database, he's set up as James. And so before you could find him by James or by Ludden or by James Ludden, but you could not find him by Jim, even though we have a field to store that information in the database. We're just not searching it. Well, from now on, you can, if you search by Jim and it's set as the, it will just appear in the search results, both by first name James, preferred name Jim, or last name Ludden. So just more search capabilities there. It's a lot of words for something pretty simple. Oh, and now this one. So I'm just laughing because this is a lot, and I know it's a lot to read. So let me explain why this is it, why we're doing this, and then we can go into the details. And it's also much easier to see during the demo. So we're doing IOUs, we're doing credit notes, and we're doing invoices, right? So this is basically the biggest changes we have since our new last webinar. And I'm not saying, and maybe it's not applicable to you, it's not for all villages that need to use this, but it's good for you to know, because if in the future you want to set that up, you can talk to us and we can see how to use this. So I need to explain why and what it is. So the why we're doing, well, first what it is like when there are villages, one village in particular, that have their membership dues and donations, stuff like that, but then they work more in a concierge kind of system where basically a member can call the office, right? And then they ask for things that the office is doing. but that there is a charge for it, right? So basically, yeah, we can assist you doing this for you, but basically the village is going to charge extra besides the membership dues. So you pay the membership dues, but also if you request additional services, you can be charged for those. So in order to do that, we had to add a lot more code and elements to the database. And basically, this is, let me just explain the three top level new items that exist. One is the IOU, right? Imagine that a person calls in and say, well, I need someone that goes to the pharmacy and buys whatever medication for me. Well, I don't know if the pharmacy is the best example because maybe there is maybe the pharmacy doesn't work. I don't know. Or maybe over the counter. And then maybe let's say that the village is going there and then does the purchase, deliver it, and then basically record on the member's profile a charge or an IOU, meaning that this member owes the village some money that will be paid at a later time. Okay. So now the village can go into the profile and create this IOU, and then at the end of the month, create an invoice that the member can go in and pay, right? So that basically they are just paying the balance of all the IOUs they have, and then they send the money to the village. And then the last element is that is the credit notes. This is a possibility, and this is this one village doing this, where basically people sign up for membership, and for some type of memberships, they get some credit in, let's say, village dollars in a way. You see what I'm saying? Like, okay, you sign up for membership and you receive, let's say, $200 of credit notes, right? So money that you can spend on, let's say, village events or classes or services, etc. So it's just village credit. I don't know how to say it. So we went onto the database, created the village credit so that the person can pay with these village dollars for village services. And usually this money is money that is not coming out of nowhere. It's usually kind of money that you can get from third party, like a foundation or something that is sponsoring, let's say, a low income membership or something like that. So basically, yeah, kind of these credit notes are connected to maybe some funding source that you have. Well, so that's a lot of financial stuff that is happening here. And so we had to accommodate this. And then we have done all these changes here to the database. And I can show you a little bit of this. And then so now, before I go into the details of each service, detail here, just saying, if your village is not charging, you see what I'm saying? If you're not charging extra for services, you don't need to worry about any of this. You don't need to do credit notes, you don't need to do invoices, you don't need to do IOUs. But it opens up an opportunity. Now this functionality has been included into Helpful Village. If you think maybe, or maybe in the future, in a year from now, you think, oh, well, we would want to do something so that when we do something for a member, we charge them $20, and then the member can log on to the database and pay that invoice later. Well, this is opportunities for the future, I would say. Okay, I'm not gonna go through each individual item. I mean, it's a little bit tedious. I prefer, I think, showing you a demo is easier to understand. And then I have one last improvement, and then we move on to demo. Is more to translation for the Spanish version of the website. We're working with a village that is working on a Spanish version, and I'm super excited about that. We had found one little issue that we had on the Spanish version is that we had the weekdays and the months that were not translated properly into Spanish. So we were saying here, basically we're saying Friday, 10/13/2023, and we needed to translate that so that it says viernes in Spanish, so that there is no kind of English words in the weekdays. So those are the changes, and I suggest we move on to the demo now. Before we move on to the demo, maybe I can allow some time for questions, and I know there are some stuff on the chat that I have not read. So if anyone wants to unmute and ask questions before we move on to demo, we can do that now. And I did not read the chat, but maybe the chat, sometimes people talking to each other, so maybe it's not necessarily a question. Yeah, cool. I just opened the chat. I read a comment about using the IOUs for Uber rides. That's exactly a good use of it. typically, I know other villages, they do with either Uber or Lyft, etc. is where the village has an expense and you can provide the service to the member, but it's not also normal that a member pays, covers that cost or pays whatever fee you think for that. So that's exactly a good use of that.
Manuel, I have a question
Mhm.
about the IOUs.
Mhm.
Will you add the code for a mail merge onto the support page that has other mail merge codes?
Wait, so I think I understood half of the question. So basically, the merge is on the email notification. Is that right? For the email template?
Yeah, hang on, let me find the exact page. So it's the page that says which merge fields variables may you use in an email template,
Email
or how to
template, yeah.
insert merge fields from the text edit.
Yeah.
And you just haven't updated it with the IOU tags, and
Okay,
so
cool.
I
Yeah.
was guessing them, and I guessed some right, but I didn't get others.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, definitely. And no, definitely, we need to look into it. I'm not sure we have them. Yeah, cool. So IOU, I think you probably have in your servers already because we added before, but now we have taken it further with the new version where basically the IOUs can be put together in an invoice, right? And basically the IOUs are line items of that invoice that you can send to a member so that they can pay whatever they owe, and that we integrated that with the payment on their profile too. I can show this on the demo. So good question. Okay, let me stop sharing my slide and let's go into demo mode. I need to find my, what? Where's my browser? Oh, I did something super funny. Let me see. I had my window. Did I close the window? That was crazy. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's not a big deal. I can open any window, but I don't know how just that happened. Okay. Okay, let me share my screen. Sorry. Okay. Okay, here. Okay, I'm gonna start with the simplest of the improvements. These seem stupid, but I'm really excited about the simple improvement. So if you see the slide here, you see the menu here, right? And if you see the menu, I'm on volunteers. And then if I scroll down slowly, I mean, if I go quickly, no worries, right? And this kind of me being me, I always go quickly. So I never saw this problem, but it was reported to us that if you come here and you're on the volunteer menu and then you go slowly, it disappears, you see? So I never had that problem myself, but obviously when I realized that some people were having that problem, it terrified me. So we were very happy to add this new improvement to demo, and this will be deployed to all your websites this weekend. So now when you have volunteers, just the box is much closer. You see what I'm saying? So now if I go slow, it doesn't disappear. So we just moved this box a little higher, but I'm just super excited because it was creating problems for some people, and I never realized that. Okay. Okay, let me show you another one of the change. Maybe we should go with the finance one, which is maybe the stuff that is most complicated. So let's go here. So we have a website here, and then basically we have a list of events. Let's see if I have a list of events here. Yeah. Okay, I have an event, Opera 212, 2000.
I'm listening.
I muted Jim. Okay, so now you have an event here, right? And I can come in. Just thinking about if I create a new member, maybe I should create a new person. Ugh. I'm gonna create a new person. Maybe let's create a new person. Person. Come on. People management, add a new person. Okay, and then this, let's say that this is, I don't need an email, but I can call this George Washington. Then save a new person. And I'm gonna come in for George, and then I'm gonna make George a member. Well, by the way, while I'm here, let's go to general. Just laughing ahead of time, but it's not funny. But first, I wanted to show you how to click on the more. There was a small more link. Let me redo it slowly. I go up here. You see here, there is this field that you know well with the preferred name, last name, first name, phone numbers, etc. These things, the thing that is a little bit hidden here, the more, because there are additional fields here where you can have the bio of a person, a quick note, a salutation, mailing name, race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, etc. And the thing that made me laugh is like, what was I gonna choose for sexual orientation and pronouns of George Washington? But I'm not gonna enter that debate because I'm not gonna touch any of these fields. But if you change these fields, they will become visible on the member profile of the member. If you go to the member profile here, you hit my profile. Basically here I can see all these other things with additional field, the date of birth and stuff like that will be visible for me here. And also when I look for a different member on the member directory, I will see that information in this area here. Anyway, let's go back to George. For George Washington, I'm gonna make this person a member just for my comfort. I don't want, okay. And then this is an active member. I could change my individual membership, primary membership type. The expiration dates are good for me. I'm gonna save this information. Then I could potentially pay for membership and stuff like that. But these, I mean, yeah, I'll skip the payment of the membership because you know how to do that already. What I'm interested in doing here is signing up George Washington for an event. So we go here to the event. And there's one event. I'm gonna send George to the opera, and you can purchase a ticket. George is a member. He's calling the village office, right? Or he can purchase the ticket himself too. Doesn't matter, but I need to show one way or the other. Okay, I'm gonna check him out. He is purchasing a ticket that costs $15. I have him on the phone, and then basically I'm registering this person from the office so I can have access to the database. I can enter, well, I didn't enter his address, but if I had the address would show up here. I'm not paying, so this event is set up. You can have different event options for your event if you want to force people to pay online when they sign up, or you can have a sort of pay later option. In this case, you have a pay later option, and for that reason, I don't need to I don't need to basically enter any credit card information. So I accept the terms of confirm the purchase. So the ticket was successfully acquired. So now we're back at the event. This also is something you know. If I look at the attendance list, so it's kind of a fun event with plenty of precedents because basically we now have Barack and George that are signed up, and they have, they have accepted to register for the event, but we can also show that these people are pending payment. So if they had paid with a credit card, it would show pay, but these people did not pay, right? They owe the money. So you can click on here and it will show how, offer you the possibility to pay. But here, what I wanted to show you is that if I go to the person profile, by the way, clicking on this link is the exact same thing as searching for George Washington here and finding it on the list and going back. So this is the personal profile that where you can add the picture of George and stuff like that. And then this same membership information we saw before. What I wanted to show you here that is new is here. It's on the pay tab. Well, first, I should try to slow down. Let's go to activity first. So go to activity. This is not new either, right? You have the emails that we have sent to these people, and you have the event participation of these people. So this is automatically recorded here. This is not new, just reminding you that you can also see the pending payment from the activity tab of this person. Okay, now something that is new is that if you go here under pay, we created an IOU for that person. So now you can have a person in your village that is signing up for an event or calling the office to sign up for an event, or they do it themselves online when they're logged in. Basically, that will create automatically the fact that they, there was a ticket purchase that was necessary for this event on a pay later mode. Now it's automatically creating an IOU so that we know that this person owes $15. Okay, cool. Let me do another thing while I'm here, right? Is that you can create a credit note. So credit note is these village dollars that we were saying before. In this case, you have something that is called, in this particular example of this village we're working with, something called Member Plus, where they have, I understand, some foundation basically providing some money, $250 for new members that sign up. They initially start the year with the village with an available credit of $250 that is paid by this foundation. These $250 can be used for different stuff, including purchase ticket that we just saw. Okay, so this is, the credit note, the big word, just super simple. You create it, and then there is an available credit that is made here. Okay, we have the service request that has we have the event that has an IOU. If I create a service request for George, I can also create an IOU for the service request. Let me do that. New service request. We have George Washington is our member, and then he's getting a handy person coming in because he's fixing the plumbing. They never come up with anything super creative here. It's like a plumbing issue bathroom number 2. Okay, and then this person wanted someone to come tomorrow at 9 a.m. and then we think that this can be fixed in about an hour. Member needs, we can type some additional comments here, and there's nothing new here. I'm just gonna create the service request. Blah. Boo, disappointed. That's a mistake. So I have a bug in my code. So I could not create the service request. So I'm not sure I can show you that because I broke something. So I cannot show it, but basically what I was saying is that you can create a service request and then associate it with and create an IOU so that the person needs to pay something for a service request in the database. You can also create an IOU manually, right? Sometimes you have an IOU that is associated with an event, like we saw here with an opera that was created automatically. You can have an IOU associated with a service request that I could not show you, and I apologize for that. Or you can create a new IOU manually here. For example, here, George is purchasing something, let's say these taxi coupons. So some cities that do these taxi coupons, 24. And then basically, this person is contacting the office. They need these taxi coupons, and what they agreed to pay in the future, $20. And they owe this money since today. And we're expecting them to pay the money a month from now. And they owe this money at this time, okay? So we created an IOU for this person. So now if you go to the pay tab of George Washington, we have a credit note of 250, and obviously all of this is optional. If you're not doing credit notes, well, then the credit notes will not exist. If you're not doing IOUs, there will be no IOUs. You don't need to worry about this. But if you want to use IOUs in the future, you can do it this way. So basically, at any point in time, you have IOUs that are accumulating for this person on their record, right? It's like at this time, they owe $35 to the village. Now, usually what happens with this village, they wait until the end of the month. And at the end of the month, they say, well, now we need to basically bill our members so that they pay everything they owe the village. So you can come here and you can create an invoice, right? And what the invoice is going to do is basically offer a possibility to add all the IOUs as line items to that invoice to pay by this person, right? So basically now George Washington, we're asking this person to pay $15 plus $20 that they owe the village at the end of this month. Now you have these checkboxes here because for whatever reason, depending on the funds that this person has or etc., they can choose to pay more or less of this amount, right? So if I don't want to pay this for some reason, because I don't know, I have some sort of dispute with the village, etc., I can choose not to pay this, this IOU. It will remain on my profile, so I can always pay it later. Or I can choose to pay both, which, I would hope this is what you want to do. And then basically you can pay. Before you pay, actually, the button is not actually pay. It's apply credit and pay. Because here, this system is connected with the credit note that we said before, right? So we have a credit of $250, and then basically the system is smart enough to know that there is enough available credit to pay with basically with available credit before paying with real money. And now if you apply the credit and pay, you can hit that button. And then basically what it's gonna do is that the invoice was paid with the available credit. So now there is this payment that was created here that shows $35 village credit. Now, if I go back to the George Washington profile, this is what we see now. We see first, the member credit note still stays the same, right? Because we create a credit note of $250, except there is something that is different, is that the available credit now is $200.15. Why is that? Well, it's essentially because we have a new payment that was created, right, in the user payments for a payment of this invoice for an amount of $35 with a payment method that is the village credit. So basically, the $35 here, if you do 35 plus 215, then we're up to the $250 initial credit that we had. So basically that kind of works. And then you can obviously come in and see any of these items here. So if you want to look at this payment, it's a regular payment you have on your record, but the payment has a connection with the invoice. So you can click from the payment and link to the invoice, or exact same thing, I can come to the pay tab and then just open up the invoice for $35 and look at the details of that invoice. We're basically saying that it was to pay for these IOUs, and I know I have a problem here to fix that. And then basically the payments that are associated with this invoice, which is the village credit. Maybe if there was not enough credit and you want to pay it with a credit card, etc., well, it will show a payment with credit card here. And it can have more than one payment. You can have half of it with the available credit, half of it with the village credit, and half of it with just credit card money or a check that they sent. Okay, so there's still a few more things, but before I move on about these things, just understanding how these elements work together, right? It's like from an event or a service request or manually, you can create an IOU that is basically owed. In this case, there are no open IOUs; it's not even showing, right? But if you create a new IOU, it will show here. These IOUs can be paid through an invoice. So the IOUs that we had created before, they're included now in this invoice. And then, when you pay for invoices, obviously it's connected to the payment. And then the available credit, you can pay with the village credit, and the village credit is deducted from the credit notes that you have. Whew. Okay, next thing is that we have here, is I can go to my profile, right? So if I'm a member, I'm a George Washington. When I log into my profile, I can see all this information here about my future event service request, my contact information, my membership information. I can renew my membership here. So all of this existed already. What is new is that I also have the possibility to pay my unpaid invoices through my member profile. So if I click here on the agenda and then I go to the pay tab, I see that I have two invoices that need to be paid, right? So if I'm a good member, I'm gonna open the invoice. Yeah, we see here that in this particular case, is for a theater request. So this is not George Washington, right? Because I am on my profile and I'm logged in as Manuel. So this is an invoice that Manuel owes, right? So Manuel doesn't have any available credit. So we still need to pay $50. So what happens in this case that I can hit this, apply credit and pay, except, I have zero credit. So basically what happens in this case is that it's gonna offer me the possibility to pay for that invoice with a credit card or any other, basically check. No, actually, if I'm a member, It's because I'm an admin, I can see all these other payment methods. But if I'm a member, I can only pay with a credit card. Then let's do the credit card payment. Okay, there's something funny there that happened, but basically, essentially, you get the point. You can pay for this invoice with the credit card number. Okay, and then easier to understand, but basically, if you go to reports, we just added a few reports about that on the reporting docs. If you go here to the bottom, obviously, when you see payments, you see a few things here. Obviously, you see you can print a spreadsheet file with the IOUs. You can print a spreadsheet file of the credit notes. So these two are new. We already had a spreadsheet file of the payments before, so that will include now the village credit if you have that. So this one is not new. Donors list we had already. Actually, we have a new report that I forgot on my, basically on my presentation. It's like you have payments, you have donations, but donations is a report that you already had before. But donations includes payments, right? So this is a spreadsheet file that includes the donations and payments. Payments is a spreadsheet file that includes the payments, but not the donations. And now we added a new report, which is you can have now a list of all the payments without the donations. It's a tongue twister, actually, because it's not that complicated. Basically, it's separate from the IOU. It's just you can have payments include donations because these are all financial transactions. And now we have an additional report where you can have only the donations and only the payment. Okay, cool. There was one more thing that I wanted to show you is that now if we go to the service requests on demo, so that's for the IOUs, invoice, etc. Now, if you don't have 100% clarity on it, don't worry, because it's like it's not something that's gonna disturb your operations, because only the admins can initiate all of that. And if you don't create IOUs or invoices or stuff like that, nothing will change with your operations. Now, the thing that I wanted to show here is here on the volunteer service requests. Okay, here. So this is I'm switching, right? I'm going from the IOUs, invoices, and stuff like that. That is one big fat improvement that we did. And I finished that demo. I'm gonna move on to a different demo, which was signing up for an event with a transportation request or something like that. And basically what happened, the thing that I wanted to show you here is that here, if you go to the list of service requests, here you can use this filter that is gonna show you your service request. Basically, for example, if I wanna see all the service requests that are completed, it's gonna show me the completed. If I wanna see the open ones, which is the default, it's gonna show me the open ones. If it's gonna show the canceled, it shows the canceled ones, etc. Now, for whatever filter you use here, if you have requested services in your database, this pink thing here at the top will show, which I think is a good thing because basically means, well, there is a service request that, basically the member or a system is expecting staff to review. So you need a constant reminder that this is not being visible to volunteers yet because these are requested. Now, if you want to know what these 20 requested services are, you can find them here. You can go to the filter, you can choose requested. And when you're under requested, it's showing me all the requested service requests that need attention and review. So basically now, any of these, what I need to do, for example, this is a right, flexible, I don't know, gardening for the plants, I can open it, can click view. So this is a service request that needs review. So the first thing that I can do is like, I'm gonna show you how to put it into open. So I can, first of all, edit for this member file, and then obviously you can edit the text. I would need to change the date here. So this is 2024. And then any other thing you want to change when you're reviewing it. But then basically just come here, change the status to open, and then save. And because we did that, now the service request went to requested to open. Cool. And I was hesitating about explaining this status of requested because basically there is this functionality here to create a new service request. Different villages operate in different ways. and this is a setting you can have. Some villages allow their members to create their new their service request themselves. So when a member logs in, they see this. Some other villages, they don't offer this possibility. Members need to call the office or send an email to the office. And then there is a hybrid mode, which is basically the member requests, in which if you choose that mode for your village, all your members, when they come here themselves, they create a new service request. Instead of creating it as open, it will be created also as requested, which means needs validation by the staff. And then that is something that you can set up here. When you do on the services tab of settings, you can choose the creation flow you want for your service request. Oh, you know, the member, if you want to allow your members to open service requests that are immediately visible to your volunteers, you choose this. You want the office to be the only one that is available to open service requests, you choose admin opens. If you want to allow your member request to set it as requested, but not visible to your volunteers until you approve, then you choose that other flow. Whew, okay, I need a break. So I'm gonna pause on the demo. I think we showed the most important things. I know it was a little dense because you know, I think we skipped a webinar in December or something like that. So there is a lot of heavy improvement that we presented today. But I would say, well, don't worry too much. And I know I'm going quickly. The webinar today is recorded. So if you're interested in some of these features, you know, I'll post the recording to Slack and you can watch it slowly. We have also Helpful Village Q&A webinar next week. So you can come with questions about the IOUs, the invoices and stuff like that. And also the most important thing is I don't want anybody to worry about the invoices or the credit notes, etc. You know, because all these financial aspects sound a little bit complicated, but this will not, you see what I'm saying? This doesn't change your operation. You just don't use the IOUs, and that's it. And you don't need to worry about that. But you can.
I put a question in the chat about the invoices for IOUs.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like that was mostly for pay invoice right now, but will there be an option to send an email or snail mail
Yeah.
invoice to
Yes.
someone?
Yes. So I have something here that I was working on. Wait, it's not the right window. Share. Wait a minute. Share this here. So now here we need to go back to Washington. And then here, that was surprising to me. What did I do? Oh, no, I know what happened. Did demo here on here. It's a different database. Okay, here, if you go to the invoice under pay, and you go to the invoice here, and you click on view, we have the possibility to download the invoice summary here. And this is something that you would do like this. Also, while I'm here, if you go to the documents library, and you go into admin docs, and then you go to the Word template for HV. So basically, well, this is kind of another kind of worms, but basically what I'm saying is that you can create a Word document, Microsoft Word document that contains these placeholders, right? Or variables you can replace, like the IOU amount, total amount, and stuff like that, and create a beautiful Word document template that you can upload.
That's why I was asking about the merge
I
variables.
know. Yeah, exactly. So basically, if you do this, basically, then when you go to the invoice and you hit on basically download the Word document for it, we're gonna pull the document template from here, replace the variables of the IOU amounts and the IOU dates and stuff like that, and allow you to download a Word document that you can print, put it in an envelope, and send to your member. Cool. Perfect. So Mary, that was an advanced question. So if someone didn't understand that part, don't worry, because we are meeting again next week and then we have Q&A and we can go over this process more slowly. I also will be quick. publishing the YouTube recording so that anyone that wants to study all of these new changes before the Q&A webinar, they can do so before we meet next week. Cool, perfect. Okay, that was fun. That was kind of a strong beginning of the year. Yeah, we've been busy during the holidays working on all of this, and it's some exciting changes that just happened.